Welcome back. And in this video, we're talking about local versus remote once again. It's a comparison diagram for you. All right, so this is just wrapping it all up. There are reasons that you use a locally hosted WordPress website that will save you time in the future. And there are reasons that you would want to use desktop server for that locally remote or for that locally hosted WordPress website that will also add to your convenience. So I'll talk about both of those. And then I'll tell you the difference between that and the development. Here's the diagram. With local development, number one, you always have access to the website. And that means you can access it on or offline. Like, you don't need an internet connection. As a matter of fact, I shouldn't even said online because you don't need an internet connection. You always have a website backup. Man, that is huge. If you have a backup of your laptop, or your computer, then that backup of your website is not only on your computer, but it's also on the backup source that you're backing your computer up on. Okay, you can take your development anywhere. Well, that just ties hand in hand with not needing an internet connection. You can run PHP in MySQL. Really, this is why you need a local server. So you can run PHP and MySQL on your desktop and develop this WordPress website or set up your theme without ever having to put it on a remote host or having to buy hosting immediately. You have full control. When you have your website on a remote server, you don't have full control because sometimes the host can go down. And, there are a lot of variables with a remote host that you just can't always predict when you'll have control over it. And the other reason why you want to do local with just regular plain desktop server is that you can have safe upgrades so that when WordPress comes out with a new upgrade for a theme or a plugin, you can safely test an upgrade or test a different plugin or test a different theme on your desktop without messing things up or tearing things down. With desktop server, there are a few other benefits. You can rapidly spin up a WordPress website. That means, like, desktop server is specialized in WordPress. There's other competitors out there that don't specialize in WordPress, but desktop server specializes in WordPress. You can create website blueprints with desktop server, which means that you can set up your theme, your plugins, and lots of other things that are like a default install for your WordPress website. Let's just say you're creating a lot of websites. You want a specific setup. You can use that. Set that website up exactly what you want to, and then make a copy of that website, put it in one of the administrative folders that desktop server has on your computer, and that becomes a blueprint, which is really cool. And then the final thing you have with desktop server premium only will be one-click deploy. If you have never heard of that, it just means that you could click a button, like we clicked the button earlier to set up the website, click a button and push the entire website from your desktop to this remote location, which saves you so much time, and it's just super convenient. Love it. That's local development. Your remote development, we'll cover that. You need an internet connection with remote development. And so that's one of the downfalls of remote development. You risk losing data. You risk losing code changes. You can't predict sometimes. Like, there have been times where I was creating a website, and while I was saving something or changing a plugin, it took everything down, took the entire website down. And you don't want to risk that. You must set up backups specifically for that remote website. You got to set that up. It's not always automatic. You have limited control. Once again, you don't control this remote website completely. You don't control the uptime. You don't control, a lot of factors about it. And then there's also upgrade liabilities. If you try to update plugins or the core of WordPress or even a theme on this remote server or this remote development environment, then you run the risk of breaking your website, losing data, losing precious time. So you just don't want to use remote development as your default or as your primary development area. Um, the best way would be to move to a more advanced way of doing it, which is version control. But this tutorial is all about you not having to touch any code.